Beth. I wanted to put this video together for you. You had expressed before in a previous email that you'd like to know how to do things yourself instead of having things done for you, which I totally get and respect. So I wanted to show you how to set up those color profiles because that color issue came up with a printer, and so kind of how we set up our files, just kind of ignore it, so that way we don't have those issues. I don't know. Oh, by the way, before I begin, you may hear a snoring sound in the background. That is my dog Lionel, who is sleeping right at my feet, and he looks adorable, and I can't bear to wake him up. So apologies. I don't know where your current knowledge base is with all this stuff, so I'm going to go over the very basics all the way to the advanced, and I'm sure that we'll fill in gaps, and I'm sure that we'll go over things you already know. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible, so that way when we're setting up your ads in the future, they look exactly what you see on the computer should look pretty much exactly what we're going to see on the page when it prints. So here we go. I'm currently in Photoshop, and I'm currently in RGB color mode, which we don't want to be. Because here are red, green, blue, RGB, which is designed for monitors. It's not designed for printing. CMYK is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image mode, and I'm going to go to CMYK. Image mode CMYK. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to show me the colors in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which are what it's going to literally look like when it prints. And so you can see what's going to happen to these colors as I convert to CMYK. So from this, you can see the intensity and saturation of those colors to CMYK and how absolute dull it gets. It's because Photoshop is showing you what it's really going to look like when it prints out, because while RGB is mixed with the light of your screen, and it can get very fluorescent and extremely hypercolored, when you print, you're mixing the ink with the paper, whatever the substrate is that you're printing on, and it kind of just dulls things. And so like this is literally the brightest green we can get. And I know it looks really dull, but once you put it in context of other colors, it doesn't. You have to just design it to make it look better. So when I'm doing this, and actually, I'll show you something. I'm gonna make it CMYK real quick. And I don't want to flatten. Perfect. All right. So I made this the most brightest pink possible. So I'm going to open this color up, and you can see what Photoshop is doing. I made it absolutely that color. Brightest, highly saturated. And now I'm going to go back into it again. See how it pushed it back over here? It's because it can't reach that. It's impossible to print that color of that in under CMYK. So it just puts it back where it's supposed to be. So I would always suggest when you're designing in Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, knowing it's going to be for print, that we always work under CMYK, because RGB is just literally going to give you colors that are impossible to hit. So I know a lot of clients will always give you things, images and stuff, it'll always be in RGB, so you have to make sure when you bring it into the space, it's CMYK. Okay, so that's one thing. I would always suggest doing all of your imagery in Photoshop. Any photoshopping you're going to do, clone stamping, erasing, all the nice gradients and how you composite your ads. And then once you do typography, which you may already do, take it into Illustrator. And now that we're in Illustrator, and we put in our typography, and I don't know if you use Illustrator or InDesign, it doesn't really matter, because it's kind of, the color settings are set up the same way. Again, make sure that we're working under CMYK. If you're not, then if you go to Edit, and then Color Settings, just make certain that we are using CMYK. And you can go to Edit File, Document Color Mode, and then this is where you switch between RGB and CMYK. So definitely always CMYK. Okay. Now, the big thing is when you're saving out. Our printer provided us some presets. So Modern Litho has their PDF presets of how they want it saved out. Okay. And I'm going to include this in the email to you, and I'll show you how to load it. So when we go to let's say that we've designed a beautiful thing. Here we go. Are you ready? I know. Modern masterpiece. But when I go to File, and I go to, oh, no, I'm sorry, Edit, and Adobe PDF Presets. Because the printer and me and whoever else, they're not going to want JPEGs and PNGs or your native files of Photoshop and Illustrator. They're going to want PDFs. So what we're going to do is we're going to import, and again, to get here, it is Edit, Adobe PDF Presets. And you're going to import this file that I'm providing you right there, Modern Lithos 600 to 2021. And then open. It's it. It is now, which clearly I've loaded it a couple times. Now it's part of your export options when you're exporting a PDF. So hit OK. Now when I go to File and Save As, and I choose to save it out as a PDF, and I want a high quality print, but I'm going to choose, and this is typically what it should default to, and it may default to press quality, I'm not really sure, but if you go down here to the one that we just loaded, what it's going to do, it's going to convert and compress it that way that it's set up exactly for their printers to make it as accurate as humanly possible. And this is probably where you got into the biggest issue between the RGB color space and their color space, and how it just wasn't converting nicely. So make sure you do this, and then when you're exporting out your PDF, always make sure that we choose that preset, and then the file set up absolutely perfectly. Now, the problem that they were having is between your rich black and registration black, which is a really weird kind of thing. And so I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to do two different blacks here. On this one, I'm going to open up the color, and I'm going to make it cyan 0, 0, 0, 100. Now, when people think sometimes, if cyan, magenta, yellow, K is black, if I make this 100% black, 100% black, that it is black. It is as black can be. Because, I mean, you're using entirely black K. And on this one, I'm going to do a different CMYK. I'm going to do a common one, which I tend to use a lot, which is 40, 40, 40, 100. And you do this, notice that it's on the other side. Instead of over here, it's over here. And I hit OK. And they look identical, right? These are the same black, but they're not. Because if I go to Illustrator and Preferences, and then if I go Appearance of Black, what it's going to default as, for some silly reason, display all as rich black, which is what they wanted. Rich black is a mixture of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, instead of no cyan, no magenta, no yellow, and 100% black, which we call registration black. So what I'm going to put is display all blacks accurately. And you can see what 100% registration black looks like versus what rich black looks like. And so I'm going to hit OK. So this is what 100% black looks like. Kind of gray and washed out, right? As opposed to rich black, which is a mixture of black, cyan, magenta, yellow, and cyan, magenta, yellow, and yeah. So what we want to do is whenever you're making a black, make certain that we're not making it in just 100% K. If you are in CMYK, yeah, you probably won't do that. If you want, certainly when you're using their printer presets, the ones that we just loaded, and you're exporting out the PDF, it should take care of it for you because it's going to convert all registration blacks into rich black. It should, at least theoretically. So yeah, just make certain that we're not doing this. So I think that's it. I think that's kind of it. So pretty much if you're in Illustrator and you're working in the CMYK space and you're using their export option for their PDF, you're not going to have any issues. Everything's going to be set up just the way that we want it to be. Again, I'm going to include that preset for you. Hopefully that helps. If If you have any questions, I'm here to help. So just let me know. Okay. Have a great day.